Assalamu alaikum, this is me Atisham and you're watching my YouTube channel RILS The Lingua Expert. I'm the expert trainer of IELTS, PTE, OET, IELTS Life Skills and other English language proficiency exams. In this video, we're going to learn another type of adverbial clause, which is clause of concession or clause of contrast. Before I proceed this lecture, if you haven't watched the previous videos or you're new to my channel, so please I request you to watch all the previous videos with respect to parts of speech, phrases and the concept of clause and its types, so that you can better understand this particular category of the dependent clause, which we call it adverbial clause, and under adverbial clause we are studying this type which we know it clause of concession or clause of contrast. And this is a type of clause in which we acknowledge, we confess or we admit something, and in the main clause we introduce the opposite of what we admit or we acknowledge. So by definition, clause of concession or clause of contrast is a type of adverbial clause which expresses an idea that suggests the opposite of what is stated in the main clause. There are certain conjunctions that we use in order to structure clause of concession. And here are some of the examples of these conjunctions or the connecting words that we take in order to use or structure this type of clause. For example, we have thou, even if, although. We have despite, in spite of, no matter how, and however. So these are the different conjunctions that we use in order to structure clause of contrast or concession. In such clauses, we introduce the concept of but, in which we introduce something in one clause, whereas in the other clause we introduce the opposite. So we use but here in such clauses, because but is the coordinating conjunction, and here we only use the subordinating conjunction in adverbial clause. So let's get to have the examples. The first example is that although he is a man of words, he takes much time to fulfill his promise. So in this sentence, you see that although he is a man of words, he still takes much time to fulfill his promise. So that is what exactly the opposite of what has been said, that he is a man of words. So the second example is, even though he is a brilliant student, he doesn't make to his school on time. So although or even though he is a brilliant student, this is a clause of concession, that you agree that he is a brilliant student, but the opposite of this, he doesn't make to his school on time. So this combination is known as complex sentence, in which you used one clause of concession beginning with even though or although. Now the third example I would like to quote here is that he can't speak Spanish, though he basically belongs to Spain. So in this sentence, he belongs to Spain. You agree to this, that he belongs to this particular region or country, but on the other hand, he cannot speak Spanish, or she speaks some other language because of that environment where he lives in. So you agree to something, and the opposite of which you say something else. Now here one point you have to note it down, that either you use thou, you use even thou, or you use even if or even although, they are used for the same purpose, showing that you admit to something. But here is a little bit difference in terms of its application, in terms of formality. If you are talking in the informal situation, so you can either use thou or although. But if you're using it in more formal situations, so you can use it even thou or even if. So this is the difference of using these conjunctions in the clause of concession. Now here I would like to quote few more examples so that you can fully understand. She came to work despite it was too cold outside. So despite is the conjunction of clause of concession. Despite it was too cold outside, she came. And remember that all the adverbial clauses, either you use the dependent clause before the main clause or after the main clause, both of them can be structured. Next example is the boy fell off his bike, however, he wasn't hurt. So however he wasn't hurt, that is basically the opposite of what you stated earlier, and this is a clause of concession. Now the next example I would like to quote here, even if it rains, I will come. So this is one of the examples of clause of concession. So the last example that I would like to quote here with the help of no matter how. If I say, no matter how poor I am, I never beg for money. So in this case, no matter how poor I am, this is the clause of concession, and the later clause is known as independent clause. I hope that you understood the concept of clause of concession clearly. If you still have any query with respect to this particular clause, you may feel free to ask me. Inshallah, I'll make certain other videos of the types of adverbial clause in the upcoming future. So thank you so much for watching. Please, I do request you to subscribe to my channel and like and share my videos. See you in the next video. Till then, Allah Hafiz.